Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The modernization of Iraq's financial institutions, especially the extensive reforms surrounding the new Revaluation Bank, signals a clear intention far beyond simple bureaucratic updates or internal housekeeping. These efforts reflect a deep, strategic alignment with the broader monetary reform agenda led by the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI. Over the past several years, particularly under the guidance of Governor Ali Mohsen al-Alak, Iraq has embarked on a profound transformation of its banking sector. This transformation isn't merely about updating technology or complying with international anti-money laundering protocols, though those are certainly necessary components. Rather, it is part of a much larger, coherent economic strategy, one that aims to re-establish the credibility, power, and sovereignty of the Iraqi dinar in global financial markets. To understand why Iraq is investing heavily in transforming state-owned financial institutions like Revaluation Bank, we must first consider the context in which these reforms are taking place. Iraq's post-2003 financial environment was severely fractured. Decades of war, sanctions, and economic mismanagement had devastated the country's banking system. The old structures were inefficient, opaque, and rife with corruption. Banks operated without interoperability, without international connectivity, and without trust, either from their citizens or foreign counterparts. It is in this broken context that the CBI began implementing reforms, not just to patch up the system but to entirely reimagine it. The new Revaluation initiative stands at the forefront of these efforts. Revaluation Bank, one of the oldest and largest financial institutions in Iraq, had historically played a central role in the country's economy. By modernizing it, digitizing its services, and aligning it with international compliance frameworks, the CBI is doing more than modern banking for its own sake. It is signaling to international investors, central banks, and multilateral institutions such as the IMF and World Bank that Iraq is ready to rejoin the global financial system on legitimate, transparent terms. This kind of transformation does not happen in isolation. It is coordinated with currency policy, monetary governance, and a vision for long-term national economic sovereignty. Thus, the modernization of Revaluation is best viewed as a necessary precursor, not a side project, to revaluation and reintegration. It is not a coincidence that this transformation is being pursued with increasing urgency at the same time the government is building gold reserves, reducing inflation, and shifting away from excessive dependence on the US dollar in local trade. These are all complementary steps in a broader process of de-dollarization and re-sovereignization. In short, Iraq is preparing itself, deliberately and systemically, for a point in the near future when the dinar will need to stand on its own strength in global markets. This is also why it would have made little sense for the CBI to set a higher exchange rate years ago if the supporting financial and institutional structures were not in place. A currency is only as strong as the infrastructure that backs it. If Iraq had attempted to raise the dinar's value without trusted banks, reliable payment systems, modern auditing practices, and international trust, the result would have been economic instability, capital flight, and potentially a collapse of investor confidence. Al-Alak, being an experienced central banker, understands this well. That is why the reforms are being phased, gradual, and tied to performance benchmarks, not just for show, but for sustainability. The restructuring of Revaluation Bank is also intimately connected to Iraq's accession path to the World Trade Organization, WTO. One of the WTO's key requirements for full membership is a functioning, liberalized financial system capable of supporting cross-border trade and investment. It's also worth noting the social and developmental dimensions of the Revaluation transformation. A digitized banking system is a prerequisite for broad financial inclusion. Iraq still has large segments of its population that operate in cash-based, informal economies. This is inefficient, dangerous, and excludes millions from the benefits of formal economic participation. By digitizing banking services, linking citizens to mobile banking apps, and enabling small businesses to access credit through formal channels, the government is laying the groundwork for sustainable domestic economic growth. And a growing, diversified domestic economy is another foundation for a stronger dinar, because it increases demand for the national currency and reduces dependency on oil rents and dollar inflows. Moreover, the modernization of Revaluation also enhances state capacity. A digitally integrated financial system allows for better tax collection, reduced corruption, and more effective social spending. These governance improvements are essential for building the kind of institutional trust that supports a stable currency. After all, currency strength is not just about numbers on a screen, it is about belief. The world must believe that Iraq's institutions are competent, transparent, and reliable. The restructuring of Rafadain is a signal in that direction. Critics might argue that Iraq's problems are too complex and entrenched for a banking reform to signal any real monetary shift. But history offers examples where currency restoration has been anchored by institutional reform. Germany after World War II, South Korea after the Asian financial crisis, and more recently Egypt, which undertook IMF-led banking reforms ahead of currency adjustments. All these cases suggest that with the right sequencing, banking reform can be a precursor to exchange rate policy shifts. That is why we must not look at the Rafadain reforms in isolation. We must view them as part of a deliberate sequencing of steps aimed at unlocking the full potential of the Iraqi economy, and by extension, the Iraqi dinar. The CBI is not taking these steps for cosmetic reasons or to appease international observers. It is doing so because it recognizes that the only path to a respected currency, a currency that can return to its glory days, runs through modern, efficient, and transparent institutions. In conclusion, the question of why the CBI is pursuing such deep reforms at Rafadain Bank when it could have simply maintained the 1320 exchange rate indefinitely is best answered by recognizing that this is not about sustaining the status quo. This is about fundamentally transforming the basis on which Iraq's currency derives its value. By reforming Rafadain and other financial institutions, Iraq is preparing to support a revalued dinar, not with slogans, but with systems. And as Al-Alaq has made clear through word and action, the ultimate goal is not just currency stability, but currency pride. That goal cannot be achieved by decree. It must be earned. And the modernization of the banking system is how Iraq intends to earn it. Thanks for tuning in to Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed and stay ready.